Another day, another makeover. Welcome back. We are getting back into that entryway makeover that we began a year ago. This is becoming very par for the course for us. Truthfully, last year was just a really difficult year, and I was just going in whatever direction I felt could soothe my soul at the time. When I was kind of first getting back into working on things after my mom passed, I really just wanted to get my hands on some paint and paint some spaces, and so that's what we did. We did the upstairs hallway and then this main entryway. Now, I have a lot of people who wonder why we paint everything white. I know that it's not for everyone. I like the main areas of the house to be a little bit brighter, feel very open. I think you can bring mood in through decor and through mood lighting, but being a stay-at-home mom, especially during the winter time, I cannot feel like I'm in a cave. I already struggle enough being home during that time, feeling very like stuck in the house. So that's kind of the main reason that we have done that. I also like that it provides a nice high contrast between the deep, rich wood tone of the original millwork throughout the house. So we've got some original crown molding and baseboards. A lot of our doors are really deep in tone. Our floors are really dark, and I like that high contrast. I think it lets the woodwork shine, and it's just very classic looking. So for the main areas of the house, that's kind of what I prefer. Keeps me in like a good headspace through those tough winter months. And then places that we are wanting to get a little bit more moodier, because I do love a moody space, are like our bedroom. So we are going to be doing a makeover on that at some point. I am already kind of looking into it. I found a beautiful set of curtains that I think we're going to try to pull a deep moody color from and kind of maybe color drench the room, make it all really dark and really cozy in there. So I think that's a great space to have that, because I will always want to walk in my room and feel like cocooned and cozy in there. So that's kind of that. I have split the entryway makeover into two parts. So this first one that you're going to be seeing today, we're going to be refinishing an antique secretary desk that we keep in this hallway, and we're going to be creating a mirror gallery wall and adding our mood lighting in. In the next video, you will see us install our stair runner, which turned out absolutely beautifully, so I'm really excited to share it with you. Before we get into it, I want to share this mood board for the entryway. Very simple, very classic vintage feel to it. So you'll see in the mood board, we've got the paint color as the background, so just like a nice warm white. We've got a beautiful crystal flush mount chandelier. I actually got a chandelier that is very similar to this one. This one was from Pottery Barn. It's no longer available. It was like $400. I never planned on purchasing it, but I wanted something like it. I was at a garage sale and I found this beautiful crystal like basket chandelier, those really big ones. And I purchased it for $50, and the lady was like, oh, I have another crystal chandelier that you can have. I think the crystals are kind of all mixed together. And so she just gave it to me. That was a flush mount that's very similar to the one in the mood board, which is the one that we actually installed in the space. We started on the stair runner and then worked on the mirror gallery wall and this little secretary desk. So really pretty simple stuff. We wanted kind of low budget makeovers at the beginning of this year, and just like kind of tying up loose ends, because we have a lot of spaces that we like had started, had mood boards for, and just hadn't accomplished yet. So that's kind of what we've spent this beginning of the year doing. And with that, I wanted to say thank you guys for being patient with the videos, because we've been doing room makeover type projects, renovation type projects. They just take a little bit longer, so the videos are more spread out. We hopefully will be getting to more consistent videos again. Garage sale season is back, so I'm going to be doing a lot more thrift hauls again. And then, of course, I will be gearing up for the holidays and hopefully have lots of fun stuff for you at that time. The beginning of the year is kind of a good time for me to just like spread out my videos a little bit, give myself a little bit more time, and do these like big makeovers that we need to get done. And then towards the end of the year, it's so busy, we just don't have time to tackle stuff like this. So I appreciate you being patient with that. And with all that said, let's get into this makeover. For the desk, we're going to be using General Finishes Gel Stain in the color Java. I'm going to start by removing the hardware and then prepping the piece of furniture by giving it a really good thorough sand, just like I would with traditional stain. So I used my little electric hand sander, which I highly recommend if you're going to be refinishing furniture. It goes so much faster and is so much easier on your body than trying to like manually sand something down. So I want to say they're around like $60 for one of these little palm sanders. So they're not too big of an investment, especially if you're going to do more than one piece of furniture. I did several passes with the sander, starting with a 100 grit and worked my way up to 150. Obviously, you can adjust that depending on your furniture piece. I am not an expert on refinishing furniture. I am just sharing my experience, and I will also share tips, things I would have maybe done differently. I applied the gel stain on this entire top section to start with before wiping it off with my paper towel. The recommended application would tell you to do a really small row with your gel stain, wipe off that section before moving on to the next, and also leave a small lap line a little bit wet so that you don't end up with a line of demarcation and you get like a nice blend. So that's how they technically say to do it. I was kind of just going with the flow, doing whatever I felt at the time was best. So do with that information what you will. I tend to kind of just like feel things out as I go, and that's just how I approach projects when I'm kind of in the zone. But the other thing that was important was to make sure to work that stain into this design here, and then wiping it down really well and getting in those crevices so that the product didn't build up in those as well. So it's been about 3 days since I stained the secretary desk, and now we're gonna do the top coat, which is this water-based high-performance top coat. Because this is water-based and our stain was oil-based, you have to wait a minimum of 72 hours before you can put this on top of the oil product. You wanna make sure it's completely dry. And from what I have read, because this product can be somewhat temperamental drying-wise, if the temperature is not ideal, you want to make sure that it's not tacky at all before you go in to do your top coat. You need it to be all the way dry before you do this. So what I did is I went through, wiped it down with a dry microfiber cloth to get any dust, hair, dog hair, the dogs run through here, all of that off of it. And now I'm going to use some foam brushes and just apply this. It says to do it pretty liberally, and it only takes about 2 hours to dry between coats. So we're gonna go ahead and put the finish on it now. The top coat only takes about 2 hours to dry between coats, so you don't have to wait quite as long as you do with the stain. I ended up coming back the next day and using a fine grit sanding block to do a quick pass over it before applying my next coat. They do recommend that, and it's important that it's a sanding block and not your traditional sandpaper because the grits are very, very different. I believe they say 220 grit and up for that. I gave it a quick dusting and then applied my last coat. They recommend doing 2 to 3 coats of the top coat. Okay, here she is. Really, really happy with the way this turned out. I found the product to be pretty easy to use. It just really requires a good amount of prep before. I do know that they recommend to do more than one coat of the gel stain, but I really didn't want it to get too much darker than it is. So I personally didn't, I won't say that this is absolutely perfect, but I think I did a pretty good job for my first time using this product, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. I love the way the hardware looks against this like deep, rich color. Something else I wanted to share with you about this is if you have an old antique piece that has a functional lock on it like this one, and you don't have the key, because I didn't have a key with this when I purchased it, you can actually buy universal keys that will work with your old pieces. So this one I actually purchased from Amazon. I will link it below. You will have to look at your piece to see. I don't remember how I determined what lock it was, but I do think I got like 2 of these, and they're really inexpensive, and it absolutely works with this old piece. So I just think that's a handy little tip. I was really excited when I found out that you can purchase them to make them functional again to lock your things away. The next part of the process is figuring out where I want to hang everything in this hallway. So I got these sconces. These are from Amazon. It was a pack of 2, and these ones actually came with a rechargeable bulb. Now I did read some mixed reviews about the bulb itself not holding a charge very well, so I can't speak to if I think those are worth it or not. And if these bulbs don't work, I will just go back to what I was going to do originally, which is using a puck light that you can actually just put in here as well, which is why it was important to get one that had a shade on it so that you could kind of hide that there's not like a real bulb in there. I needed sconces for this area because the back of this hall gets no natural light. It has no light source, and so we needed something to light this up, especially at nighttime. It's so dark in here. So I knew that I was going to put one at the back of the hallway, and the other one I thought I would put here. And then I found this mirror and hung it up about a year ago. And so now the placement is thrown off a little bit. I was going to take this mirror down, and then we were going to do a mirror gallery wall up the stairwell because I love the way that looks. But the more I've been thinking about it, the more I've been thinking maybe it would be a better idea to put our mirror gallery wall on this wall, and then we can kind of work the sconces in with it. So I would place one kind of somewhere here, take the measurement from the end of this wall over to the sconce, and then offset it that same distance on this back wall. So from here to about somewhere about here is where we'd put one, and then fill everything else in with my mirrors. I think the reason I like this idea is because it's going to open up the space a bit more and help to kind of bounce more light and really brighten up the hallway. I also think in the evenings when I can dim these and have it like the, you know, a little bit more of a mood to it, it'll look really pretty with the mirrors. So I think that's what we're gonna do. I always have a hard time pulling the trigger on where exactly to hang things because in our house we have plaster walls that crumble when you hang things in them. Our house was actually picked up and moved in the 60s, and I think that the plaster has really suffered for that because I've lived in old homes my whole life and I've never had walls that are just like as finicky as this. The last house we lived in was even older and we could hang things with no problem. So I'm a little bit hesitant, but I'm trying to remind myself we can patch, repaint, and move things around. It's okay. So in preparation for this project so that I can figure out exactly where I want to place these, how high up I want to place the mirrors, all of that, I grabbed a roll of craft paper and I'm going to measure out what each mirror size is or about what size each mirror is, and then I'll use some painter's tape and just kind of place them all up to get a feel for the placement before I actually put holes in the wall. So that's what we're gonna do now. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is you kind of have a sneak peek here of the stair runner that we are doing, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. It's one of my most favorite projects we've ever done. I will not be including it in today's video, but it will be the next video, the whole process from start to finish. So if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe and turn on your bell notification so you don't miss out. But for now, we're gonna start on this and see if we can't get this mirror gallery wall all hung up. For the first mirror, I had this one on order from Amazon. I wanted something that was going to be a different shape to go over that arched niche in the hallway, something that felt kind of unique, and I really liked the shield shape of this one. Because I didn't have it in, I actually just had to kind of freehand it and hope that it looked somewhat similar, but it was pretty close. It gave me an idea of what it was gonna look like. I will say that the mirror came in and was definitely a bit smaller and cheaper looking than I had hoped, but I kind of knew that going in. I think I'll keep an eye out for a unique vintage or antique mirror to eventually replace it with, but it does the job for now. The nice thing about using the craft paper to configure your gallery wall is just that you can do multiple different sizes. So if you've got more than you need for a gallery wall, you can kind of swap them around and see what's going to fit best, move things around, shift them without having to like put holes in the wall. And then when it comes time to actually put the holes in the wall, you can just put it directly through the craft paper and then just pull the craft paper off, and it should be perfectly placed where you wanted it to go. I had my eye on this vintage buffet mirror that was at an antique store and had contemplated buying it before and didn't because I didn't have a perfect spot for it. So when configuring this gallery wall, there was a spot on the far wall where I had two mirrors stacked, and then there would be a sconce over there, but nothing would be above the sconce. And so I thought if I could put that buffet mirror over, it might help the flow and not feel like there's just nothing kind of in that spot. And so it ended up being a really good fit. It gave me an excuse to buy the mirror, so I went and got it, and I think it was definitely worth it because it looks great in this little spot here. The sconces were relatively easy to install. I took a mechanical pencil actually and poked, like I made it really long and then kind of marked the wall with it up on there, and that worked out well. You could also just use a nail and kind of like poke the wall if you wanted to, but once you install the little bracket, then you just put your light on there, and then there's some little decorative screw heads that you put on the front, and then they come with these remotes to turn on and off. I will say the charge does not last a super long time, so you could definitely do puck lights. We're gonna try these for a while. If we get annoyed, we'll swap them out. No big deal. I wanted to style the little desk really quick before sharing kind of the end result with you. I do need to get a different print for this because I needed something that goes vertically, and also I have this print literally upstairs in the hallway right above. So I am going to swap that out at some point, but this is how it all turned out. I also wanted to share a view of what it looks like during the day with the door closed. So it's pretty dark in here even during the day with the door closed. This is it open, and we are installing that stair runner in next week's video, so be sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed, and we will see you very soon.